Are you ready to find out the do's and the don'ts when it comes to working with your virtual assistant? In this video, I'm going to dive through a few of the best practices when it comes to successfully actually working with a virtual assistant. Now, the first do is trust and give feedback. You definitely don't want to be the kind of boss or client where you're trying to make sure that they don't make a single mistake. You want to trust that they can actually get it done, and you want to make sure that you give feedback as well. It's not about, on the flip side where you're just delegating by application. You want to trust that they can get the job done, and then you need to be responsible for giving them feedback if they did really well or if they need a little bit of redirect. It doesn't have to be that you only are talking to them if they did something wrong. Also praise them or give them really good feedback when they do something right. Your virtual assistant can really only grow with how much feedback you give them. That's why you want to, again, trust that they will get it done, and then you give feedback when basically they're able to finish that task or that project that you gave them. Next is you do want to set clear boundaries, especially as you and your assistant work hand in hand a lot together, and you'll probably be talking to your assistant more than anyone else on your team. Is you want to set boundaries of when it is personal time and when it's work time. And between my assistant and I, we basically, when we're doing our syncs, we do kind of a little bit of a personal in the beginning, because I do ask, and I love asking her, how she is, what she was doing, and then we get into the work stuff, focus on that kind of for a good 15 to 20 minutes, and then at the very end we then add a little bit of more personal. So we've kind of put that as kind of a sequence in place to make sure that we're touching bases on the things that are really important, as well as putting that boundary of this is work stuff, this is personal stuff, especially as, again, we've been working together for almost 3 years. There is that friendship that has naturally evolved and developed, but there's still the other side of it where you do want to make sure that you don't mix the two, that you're still putting up that boundaries of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, especially as your guys' relationship develops. Next is do invest in training. And what that means is you want to make sure that you're giving your assistants space and material to train and grow themselves. So for example, for me, anytime that there's a workshop, even if it's a workshop that I'm doing, or if it's a conference or a course that my assistant wants to learn or a skill that she wants to get better at, I provide that training because that is kind of how she can continue growing. So for you and your assistant, you want to look at the skills that they currently have and the skills that they still need to get better at, and finding the courses, the mentors, the training that can strengthen the things that she's already good at, and also give her more context on the stuff that she needs to get better at. This will, of course, make it better and better for them to be able to be more confident in the things that they're doing, and also give them kind of a good way to understand the task that they're trying to do, rather than just always having to learn on the go. They're given the background and more context about the task rather than, again, just doing it themselves. Next is you want to track and document. What I mean by this is you need to develop a really good project and task management system with your assistant, where you can see all of the things that need to get done within the business, not just things that she needs or you need to get done, but everything that needs to get done in the business, and you're able to track the progress of that. And you want to make sure that you document things as you go. You don't want to be doing a meeting 6 months from now where you're like, oh, did we get that done? Where is that document? You're making sure that as you and your assistant produce a lot of assets together, a lot of documentation, that it is filed away in the best way. You can either have them create the filing and order system, or you can develop that with them as well. Just basically depending on what it is that you guys are working on. You want to make sure that only 5 or 10% of things fall through the cracks, because that's life, that's business. But you want to make sure that, again, things are documented and tracked. So when it comes to, for example, your assistant wants to take a leave or you're taking a vacation, things don't have to fall apart, because you guys have things documented, your standard procedures, your assets, your templates, everything is documented. So either of you guys can go ahead and take that well-deserved break too. Next is do encourage innovation. Is just because you guys have already gone ahead and created the system doesn't mean that your assistant can find other ways to make this better, to make this smoother and easier. You can start with literally just asking, how would you do it? How would you want to do it better? Or how can we make the system make your life easier? Because when you do this, you're finding different ways where it doesn't have to be hinged on your assistant as well to get it done. And at the same time, you are finding ways to simplify maybe complex systems you guys already have. That way your business can scale a little bit easier as well, where you don't have to do 10 different steps to do the one task. It can be just down to the 2 or 3 that are actually essential to actually getting it done. Next is a few of the don'ts. The first one is, of course, don't micromanage. Make sure that you are giving your assistant breathing space to grow. However, the main thing I will point out here is there's this really amazing book called The Self-Leadership and the 1-Minute Manager, where it basically talks about when you are managing people, you want to change your management styles depending on where they're at. So if it's a totally new task for your assistant and they don't have the confidence to do it, you want to make sure that you're more on the directive leadership. You are kind of micromanaging, but you're making sure that they're on the right path. As they're developing and getting better and being competent and confident about what it is they do, you're kind of more just kind of molding it a little bit more for them to kind of have a better path. And at the point where they're more competent about what it is that they're doing, but their confidence isn't there, you're more on the coaching support of like, hey, I know you can do this, you've done this before. And finally, on the last stage, when they're competent and confident about what it is that they do, you're just supporting. You're just making sure that they have what they need to be able to succeed. So on those 4 quadrants, you want to figure out and make sure that you're molding and changing the management style depending on your assistant's competency and confidence level to be able to do this task. And you are making sure that you're not just, one same management style for everything, because they will need different types of support depending on where they're at on that path. Next is, of course, don't expect perfection. Your assistant's not going to get it as well as you can just because they're not you, and that's the reality of it. If you expect your assistant to be exactly you, they're not going to be working with you. They're going to start their own business. So that's kind of the main thing of like, I really want you to understand and accept this, is that your assistant will not do it as well as you can. But that doesn't mean that you should be the only one doing it or that you should never delegate. You want to get to the point where your assistant can do it as 80% as well as you can, and it doesn't have to be that perfect thing, because it will change, it'll evolve, especially with everything in the world. It might not be the best thing to aim for perfection, but as long as it gets done and it gets done right. Next is make sure you don't overload your assistant with tasks. Keep in mind, every time you give them a new task, there might be recurring tasks they're already taken care of, and most kind of have at least 3 different things that they are focused on and not more than that. It's kind of a good rule of thumb is if you're working on 5 different projects, one of them is going to fall through the cracks. 3 is kind of a good middle ground number, because at least you can check on those 3 and it's easier to kind of keep track where everything is. You can also just, of course, ask your assistant like, hey, do you have the space for this? Do you have the capacity for this to be able to work on this? And they will probably give you like, hey, yeah, I can work on it. Like, oh, can we do it later, or can we add this later? It's also about learning just how to trust that your assistant will flag when things are too much and will ask for more once they have more capacity. Next is don't ignore cultural differences. If you're going to be hiring, for example, from the Philippines, ask them about their family, ask them how they're doing. It's just kind of being aware of what the differences are between working with someone who is in the same state as you, same country as you, versus from another country. It's learning a little bit more about their past, their history, so you can understand them a little bit more, especially when it comes to their motivations and what keeps them going as well. Because of course, in the long term, you want to understand and know this so you know how to inspire and motivate your assistant. And lastly, don't take too long when it comes to feedback. Don't wait a week later to tell them like, hey, you did a really good job. Or like, don't wait a month later to tell them like, hey, I saw you did this one mistake. Because the longer you take to give them feedback, the harder it is for them to redirect themselves to do a little bit better or to do that a little bit more. You want to find opportunities and ways that the moment that you catch something, you're able to give them that quick feedback and able to dive through with them whenever you can. But the point of this is you don't want to, again, week, a month, a few weeks before you give your assistant crucial and important feedback so they can keep showing up in the best way when it comes to working with you. Now, if you guys liked this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below any questions you may have when it comes to working with your virtual assistant. I would love to know. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to build business from home, which you guys can check out those 2 playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and with that, small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!